Jason is here. Welcome back on Sorry What channel. And now without any pauses, let's start our story. Yep, I know what you're thinking, this is a bunch of crap. Nobody is stupid enough to believe this story is true, or that any wife could be this crazy. But I have a copy of the actual call that I'll share with you upon request. You really have to hear it to believe a woman could actually be this stupid. Yes, the voicemail is real and ended our marriage, and all that was holy between us. There was no way I was going to become her clock and live with her betrayal. Her delusion cost her everything. Let me give you some background before I let you read the transcript of that voicemail. Maggie and I got married right out of high school. We were inseparable, and both of us knew we would be together forever. Our families were close and we never dated anyone else all through high school. We both attended a private religious school and came from families with strong Midwest values. Maggie and I even took a vow of chastity. Our first time will only be given to each other on our wedding night. Try not to judge, I know it's not a common practice, but it was part of our upbringing. At the tender age of 19, our wedding was arranged by our two families. All of our friends and family were going to celebrate our love and our special day. The wedding was going to take place at the same church we attended all through our childhood, and the reception was set up at the VFW hall. It was a common Midwest-style reception. Neither of our families had much money, and we enjoyed the simple things at that time. Simple weddings are the best, no pretense and lots of beer and dancing. Well, a week before my wedding my buddies arranged a bachelor party that became the tipping point of my marriage. It was a great night at one of our favorite pubs, and then back to Kevin's house for some more fun after closing time. The guys chipped in and hired a few strippers to enhance the entertainment at Kevin's place. At this point I was well over the limit and barely remember what happened for the rest of that night. I woke up the next day in some bed, naked, and unsure of what took place. Apparently, one of the girls gave me head as the guys cheered her on. I remember nothing about it the morning when I woke up with a major headache. But to my dismay, one of the guys who had been jealous of our relationship ended up texting Maggie a photo of the action. A clear image of me smiling while a blonde with big balloons was sucking on my clock. I didn't know anything about the photo until I saw Maggie later that day. She welcomed me with a hard slap to the face and cursed me out on her parents' front steps. She announced that the wedding was off, and that she wanted me to leave, and to never talk to her again. It took everything I had to get her to talk to me the next day, and after hours of apologizing and telling her I had no idea what had happened, she finally stopped screaming at me, and only glared at me with pure hatred. It looked like the wedding was off unless I came up with some kind of miracle. Our last conversation went something like this. Billy, the one thing we had was that neither of us had ever been with another person, and now I'm the only one that can say that. You've broken our promise to save yourself for me, as I've done for you. That fact will be with me forever, don't you understand? I never would have done it, Maggie. I swear, my idiot friend set this up, and now I'm being punished for something I never wanted to happen. Well, it did. What do we do? I don't know. Do you want to get even and be with someone else before the wedding? She smacked me hard, again. This was starting to get irritating and painful. How dare you talk to me like that? I'm not some whore that will just sleep with someone, like you do. Damn it, Maggie, I didn't sleep with her, and it wasn't my fault. This went on for hours, and finally, at midnight we cuddled and kissed for the first time in 2 days. We cried in each other's arms, and were finally over the event, with one exception. Billy, I'll tell everyone that the wedding is on, but only if you agree to allow me to get even. What do you mean, get even? Not today, or any time in the near future, but one day, I might want a girls' night out or maybe a dance with some other guy. A hall pass for one time, if it ever comes up. I don't want that to happen, but I feel I need the option to be even in this situation. So, anytime in the future if you want a guy, I'll have to allow it. Yes, just once, just like you. Like I said, I don't want anyone else and I know it will never happen, but I need that to feel that somehow, we're even, after you let that girl do things to you and suck your clock before I did. After hours of pleading, lack of sleep, and a headache, I gave in. I believe she asked for this to teach me a lesson, and to feel like we were now on level ground. I knew I had nothing to worry about. We never spoke about it after that night, and things were back to normal. The wedding went on without a hitch. The guy that sent that photo to Maggie somehow didn't make the wedding as he was in the hospital with 2 broken legs and a concussion. Apparently, my best man Harley wasn't happy with his decision to try and derail my wedding. You don't disrespect the guys in our group without knowing there would be consequences. Our next 7 years were magical, our love grew stronger and we remained inseparable. I finished courses at the local university and earned my degree in computer engineering, where I learned a great deal about blockchain technology and cryptology. During this time Bitcoin was new, and as a lark I acquired over 95 Bitcoins at almost no cost, which I kept in a paper wallet for over 6 years. Nobody knew I had them, and when Bitcoin was just over $60,000 a coin, I knew our lives would change forever. I started to make plans for our future, but remained silent about my wealth until the right time. Money and wealth were never a factor in our lives, and I was determined not to let it change us or turn us into some of those people you see on Jerry Springer, who go from poor to rich, to bankruptcy. I was careful with the windfall and made sure to maintain and grow the large portfolio I now owned. After working with several accountants and advisors, we were going to be set for life with generational wealth. While this was happening, I was working for a large engineering firm, doing what I loved. Maggie worked in the local library, which didn't pay much, but was something she enjoyed. I maintained the family budget, and to Maggie's delight, we lived a comfortable life. We were both in our mid-20s, and were about to start planning our family. It was now time to enjoy life and give Maggie the things our parents and family could never afford. After a late night out of dinner and dancing, I told her it was time to start a family. She agreed and was going to go off the pill and visit her doctor the following week. We wanted to make sure things were perfect. I planned on surprising Maggie with a new home and her favorite luxury car, the Mercedes GLC AMG 43. With my investments growing and advice, I was going to move enough funds to buy our new dream home and her new car. I felt like we were once again living in a fairy tale, and our love was never stronger. I gave thanks to the universe and my God each morning, almost pinching myself to see if I was living a dream. The next day I took Maggie to the local Mercedes dealer and told the saleswoman that we're starting a family, and we want a safe SUV for Maggie to drive. Maggie thought it was a bad joke and told me to stop clowning around. She gave me a hard punch to my arm and said, "Billy, stop being a jerk. Why are you teasing me with my dream car? We could never afford anything like that. Maggie, I've loved you my entire life, and I want to make you the happiest wife in the world. We're going to start a family, and I want to make sure you're driving a safe car. I've been saving, and we can afford this, and I want you to have it, baby." The sales lady had tears in her eyes after hearing me tell Maggie how much I loved her. The sales manager wrote up the contract, and we left her old car as a trade-in for the new car, which would be ready the following Saturday. We added some customization and features that would take a few days to complete. The finance manager at the dealership asked me if I wanted to lease the car or get a car loan. My wife and the sales lady were in shock when I told her I would be paying for the car in full. All $97,789 with a certified check when I picked up the car next week. Since we already turned her old car in for the trade-in, they gave us a loaner for the week, which they did for their premier customers. I guess I was now a premier customer, I smiled. That night Maggie gave me the best sex of my life. She rocked my world, and let me know how appreciative she was for the car and my love. After a wild night of sex, she told me how much she loved me, and how happy she was to be my wife. I thought to myself, just wait until she finds out about the house I'm going to buy her. I can't wait to see how our sex could get any hotter. The next morning at breakfast we started talking about children and raising a family. It was now our main topic, and we constantly discussed it for the next few days. I noticed Maggie acting differently, a little distant and quiet. I questioned her about her mood several times each night, but she said it was nothing until Thursday night. That's when I realized I was in trouble. Maggie looked sad and apprehensive when I came home from work. I could tell something bad was up from her expression. I thought someone was really sick, or one of our parents had died. Both of our parents were getting older and moved to Florida and Arizona to retire, which is why I was nervous that something happened. "Is everyone okay? Did something happen, Maggie?" "No, everyone's fine, but I have to do something you may not like." "What's going on?" "Honey, sit down. We need to talk." When I heard that, I remember thinking oh shit to myself as I sat across from her at the kitchen table. "Billy, I love you so much, and I can't wait to start our family and have your babies. You're the best husband, and the only man I've ever loved, and the only man I've ever been with." "That's great, Maggie. You know how much I love you." "Our love is not the problem, baby. Like I said, you're the only man I've ever loved or been with. You've been with another woman, but I haven't been with another man. All this talk about starting a family is what has caused the problem. The way I see it, is that once I'm pregnant and have babies, there's no way I would ever want to be with another man. Don't misunderstand me, I don't desire other men, but I need to be with someone else one time, before we start having babies." "What do you mean, to be with someone else?" "This is going to be hard for you to hear, but I want to use my whole pass, just one time before we start having babies. Just once to see what it's like with someone else. You remember the whole pass, right?" Of course I do, but I thought after 7 happy years you would have forgotten that, and forgiven that accident. I did, until we started talking about babies. Baby, I love you, and this has nothing to do with you. As a woman, I just need to have one time with someone else before I spend the rest of my life with you as your wife and mother to your children. No way, Maggie, I can't let you do that. I won't let you, and that's final. I know this is hard, but I've arranged a meeting with someone for tomorrow night. Just a couple of hours, and I'll be back with you forever. I have no feelings for him, but I feel he's the best candidate to help me with this. Maggie, is this a joke? Are you trying to kill me? No, it's not a joke, and I swear I love you, and I don't want to hurt you, which is why I'm using the hall pass you gave me. Tomorrow night I'll drive to see him at 8 p.m., and I'll be done by 10 p.m. I'll be back before your hockey game finishes. I already checked, and I know they have a playoff game that starts at 8 p.m., and I'll be back with you before it's over. Maggie, I know I gave you that hall pass, but I never thought you would use it. I don't want you to do it. And I didn't want you to do her either, but it's too late. You owe me this. Just 2 hours and I'm back and only yours forever. Look, you started this with that whore, and you promised me a one-time pass if I married you. As you might remember, I did marry you and gave you 7 wonderful years. I'm sorry, but like I said, you owe this to me, Billy. Up until this moment I believed our life was perfect and that she was happy with our sex life. Now, in less than 5 minutes, my world has turned upside down, and I had no idea how to react. After 2 hours of arguing I realized I wasn't going to win, and that she was determined to use her hall pass. So, I have no choice and it's already arranged. What if I say no? Well, I guess you could, and it won't happen tomorrow. But think about it for a minute. It will piss me off, and I won't feel like we're even again. Maybe I'll do it and won't tell you, and that is something you will have to think about for the rest of our marriage. If we do it this way, it's controlled, it will only be one time for 2 hours and never again. I never lied to you or gave you reason not to trust me, but if you deny me what was promised to me, I can't guarantee it won't happen sometime in the future. This way there is no threat and we can move on and start our family. Maggie, I love you too, but this is the hardest thing I've ever done. Letting my wife, the woman I love, be with another man is causing me so much pain, I can't even explain how this feels. Baby, when I saw that photo of you with that slot, I felt the same way. I can remember it as if it was yesterday. So, I do understand, but I'll tell you that it gets better, and when I get back tomorrow night, I'll be the best wife ever, I promise. Who is this guy? His name is Derek, but believe it or not, he's the barista at the Starbucks in my building. I see him every day and we've become friends. I told him all about my hall pass and he agreed to help me. He's no threat to you, and I have no feelings for him. That's why I picked him. He doesn't have a good job, he's like 19 years old, and probably doesn't even have a girlfriend. He knows it's a one-time thing, and I know he's the perfect candidate for this. I can't believe this, but I see your logic. I hate this, and just the fact that you want to do this is killing me. I appreciate your honesty, but this is beyond anything I could have ever imagined. Okay, if we do this, and I don't want you to, you will have to go along with my rules, otherwise we can just end things now. I don't want to lose you, but if you don't agree to these things, I'm ready to leave you and start a divorce. Don't even say that word, that's crazy talk, and of course I want you to be okay with this. What rules did you have in mind? I can't believe I'm even considering this, but here's what I might be able to live with. 1. Nobody, and I mean nobody, will ever know of this besides you, me, and your lover. 2. This is a one-time hall pass, and never used again. If you ask or it ever comes up again, I will divorce you in a New York minute. 3. You will not be friends, chat, text, or talk to this guy afterwards. Forever. 4. You will tell me everything you did, every detail without me asking. I expect complete honesty, no hiding or holding anything back from me. 5. If you let him duck you, and I'm afraid that would change things between us, he will wear rubber. 6. You will not let him take you in the bum, you promise that for only me. 7. You will come home right after, you will leave no later than 10 p.m. 8. You will keep your phone on at all times, in case I need to reach you. 9. We will never speak of this again once it's over. 10. You will sleep in the guest room for a week until I can get over this. She jumped on my lap and hugged me. Thank you, baby, I love you and I agree with all of your rules. Thank you so much, now come with me and let me show you how much I love you. I took her to bed and tried to duck her into oblivion, with the intention of making her forget this stuck-up idea. I wanted to be the only thing she would want, and it was not love that night, but hard rough sex, making sure she knew she belonged to only me. The next morning, before we left for the day, I begged her to reconsider and not go through with her plans. It looked like she was considering it and told me she would call me after lunch and let me know. At 3 p.m. that fateful day, she called me and told me she loved me. Billy, I want you to know that I love you so much, and I know it's going to be painful, but I'm going to meet Derek, and I'll be home before you know it. Baby, I'm begging you, don't do this. I am not sure I'm going to be able to handle this, or what it will do to our marriage. Just come home to me and I'll do whatever you want to make things right. I hate begging and sounding like a wimpy husband, but I don't know what else to do. Please Maggie, don't go to him tonight. Billy, we discussed this and I'll see you tonight. Just remember how much I love you. Yes, I hear the words Maggie, but being with another man is not making me feel very loved. I love you Billy. Bye for now, honey. I'll see you tonight, and then she hung up. I sat there staring at the phone and realized I was crying again. Have I turned into a complete kitty? There were butterflies in my stomach and my heart actually hurt. I felt my heart breaking for the first time in my entire life. I've never had a heartache before and promised myself that I would never feel this way again. The only woman I loved was going to be with another man because of some ducked-up bachelor party and a BJ I don't even remember. This was bullshit, but as she pointed out, I agreed to this before we were married. I was ducked and was not going to have a good night. I also had no idea how I would handle this when she came back. But soon I would learn that I wouldn't have to worry about that. I couldn't go home alone knowing what she was doing, so I went to the local sports bar to watch the hockey game and drink my pain into oblivion. I made sure I was back home by 10 p.m. I wanted to be there when she got home. I wasn't sure what I was going to do or how I was going to act, but I wanted her to feel my pain and some guilt for pulling this shit on me. While I sat at the bar drinking my second glass of whiskey, I pulled out my phone and tried to make one last attempt to put a stop to this. It was almost 8 p.m. when I called to beg her to change her mind, but the call went straight to voicemail. That pissed me off because she was supposed to leave the phone on. She already broke one of my rules. That was it, this was going to happen and there was nothing I could do. The feeling of complete helplessness overwhelmed me as my anger rose. I got home before 10 p.m. and started watching the last period of the playoff game. From the drinks and the humiliation, my head was a mess and I couldn't focus on anything. I had another drink as the clock ticked and my anger grew. I nodded off during the overtime as I waited for Maggie to return. The voicemail message. Apparently, Derek the barista must have had a magic clock because everything we discussed went out the window. It was getting late and Maggie had not returned home. I was drinking heavily all night and passed out on the couch waiting for her to come through the door. I woke at midnight a little drunk and out of sorts. When I got my senses back, I rubbed my eyes, checked the clock, and then my phone. Sure enough, I missed her call and noticed I had a voicemail. I listened to the message. Her words were hesitant, with lots of pauses between sentences. She knew her words were going to be painful and tried to be as nice as possible. It didn't help. Here's the voicemail, word for word. Hey baby, it's me. I saw that you called. Sorry I missed your call before. I've been having a lot of fun, but I'm okay, everything's fine. I'm actually doing really good. I'm still with Derek. He lives not too far from the mall here. And? Long pause. Yeah, we've been having a lot of fun. Long pause. So, I know you probably got a million questions, so I'll try to answer them real quick. He's in the shower right now, but when he comes out, I'll probably be busy again, so I probably won't answer the phone. Okay. Number 1, yes, he's way bigger than you. I'd say probably close to double your size. And he really knows how to use it. Number 2, yes, I did come a lot. Like I don't even know how many times, I lost count and I came really hard every single time. Number 3, yeah, black guys really do talk a lot better than white guys. I can't even explain how much better he is, and so that will probably answer question number 4. Pause. Yes, he is way better than you. Pause. Way better. If you take every O I've ever had with you, it's like adding them all up, and it doesn't even compare to one of the times that he made me come. Very long pause. And now I guess I'll tell you the things that you probably don't want to hear, but I promised I would be honest with you. I really hope you're not mad at me, but we are not using rubbers. Pause. And I'm letting him finish inside me. I know that was the rule, but I can't even explain how amazing it is without the rubber, and how much I just need this. I mean, you're great, but this is just like mind-blowing. So we duck I guess 9 times now or so, something like that. And I let him finish in me every time, and it's been really amazing. Another thing is that I let him, long pause, I let him duck me in the bum. And I know I told you I wouldn't do that, and I don't let you do it, but he's just so great that I just wanted to try, and I actually came really hard when he ducked me that way. I'm sorry, but I'm going to stay here tonight. He'll drop me off at the library in the morning, so you don't have to worry about coming to pick me up. But I know we've been going for like 4 hours now, but I just need this so bad. It's just so amazing. Please don't be mad and try to understand. I promise I'll make it up to you. Long pause. And then I guess lastly, I'll tell you now that I want to make this like a regular thing. I know I promised this was only going to be a one-time thing, but I want to keep seeing him, and we still have each other, and nothing will change there. But I want to do this more often with him because he makes me come harder than I've ever come before. I've never had sex like this before. And it is, like, completely mind-blowing. We can start our family soon, I promise. Long pause. So I am going to get back to having sex, and the good news is that he likes nylons and heels, just like you do, and he's come so much in my kitty that it's, like, running all over my nylons. So I have some nice messy nylons for you when I get home tomorrow, and you can jerk off into them if you want. I will call you, I guess, tomorrow morning. I'm probably going to turn my phone off tonight because we're going to be getting it on. So thank you again. I love you so much for letting me do this. And I'll talk to you later. I love you so much, baby. Bye for now. Not a fairy tale ending. That was the moment our fairy tale ended and became my nightmare. Our marriage was over and I knew my life was about to change. I sent an email to my boss, telling him I would be out for a few days due to a family emergency. Duck him, if he didn't like it, duck everyone. Suddenly I was sober and pissed. I felt the blood flowing through my veins and my heart pounding in my chest. This was another feeling that was new to me, but I used the anger and rage to power my actions. There was no sleep that night, and by 7 a.m., my F-150 was loaded with 3 suitcases full of clothes, and 5 boxes with my files, computers, and all my personal items. She would soon learn the consequences of her actions. She gave up everything, our future family, a life of luxury, and all the years of love I've showered her with for what? Some strange clock. Duck, I hate myself for letting this happen. I saw several calls from her early the next morning and immediately blocked her number. There was nothing I needed to say to her, and talking to her would just send me back into rage and anger. Besides, I was too busy packing my things and had no time to waste. I wanted to be long gone and out of her life before she came home. I drove 6 hours north to the Lake of the Ozarks, and was able to get a rental cabin on the lake during the drive. A week on the lake in this quiet location was just what I needed. It was 3 p.m. when I checked in and suddenly I was in desperate need of sleep. After getting settled in the room I was going to get a few hours of sleep, and then a good meal. Then I would try to get my head back in the game. Later that night when I turned my phone back on, I had dozens of text messages and calls. Apparently, Maggie had no clue at my anger, or that I would respond this way. I learned later that an hour after I left she came home and entered the kitchen. That's when she saw the note, my phone, and my wedding ring on the table when she finally came home from her dog fest. She had no idea I would leave her like this, and she actually believed I would understand her desires. Panicking, she picked up my note and started reading it. Maggie, we are done and here's why. 1. No rubbers, and you let him come inside you several times, as you explained in your voicemail. 2. You turned your phone off, and I could not reach you. 3. You were going to leave by 10 p.m., but you spent the night with him. 4. You gave him your bum, which you promised to me. 5. It was supposed to be a one-time thing, now you want to continue, feel free now, he's all yours. 6. I really didn't need to hear that he was so much better than me, or that he makes you come so much better than I ever did. Thank you for letting me know how terrible I was as a lover. Well, he's all yours now. Enjoy yourself. Because of this, we're done. You can keep my wedding ring as a memento. Don't bother looking for me as I'm gone and won't be found. Since Derek makes you feel so wonderful, feel free to move in with him. The apartment is paid through the end of the month, which is when the lease expires. I'm glad I waited to renew it for another year. You will have to either sign a new lease or move in with your new duck toy. You can forget the new car, there's no way I'll be paying for that now. You'll need to bring the loaner car back to the dealership and get your old car, if they haven't sold it yet. I didn't take any money out of the checking or savings account. You can keep that. It will probably last you about a month if you're really careful. Don't forget, now that I'm gone you will have to pay all the utilities, food, and expenses. All of our joint credit cards have been cancelled. You're on your own now, time to grow up. On Monday I'll be quitting my job by phone from wherever I am, and you'll need to get your own medical insurance. Children? Not with me, never going to happen. Maybe your lover can fill that part of your life. You can file for divorce or not, I don't care. In my mind, we are no longer married. You might as well file for abandonment, and in a year it will be official. I have always loved you, and will miss being with you, but I can't live with the woman that left that message for me last night. I don't know who she is, but she will not be part of my life. I'll never be cuckolded. You took advantage of me and what happened without my knowledge over 7 years ago. I hope you're happy with your decision to destroy everything we had together. In case you don't remember what you said on the voicemail, I posted a link to the recording on my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, WhatsApp. After our friends and family hear it, I'm sure they will understand why I abandoned you. I hope you enjoy listening to your betrayal and our marriage going up in flames. I hate what you've done, and I wish you a life filled with regret and misery. Billy. Maggie's thoughts. She pulled up her phone and clicked on the voicemail link. After she listened to her own words, she broke down and fell to her knees. She was grief-stricken and so sorry for what she had done. Between the weed and the wine, she lost control of the situation. The feelings she expressed were true, but was sorry for the way she explained it in the voicemail. She never would have gone through with this if she thought Billy would leave her. She screamed and wailed for an hour. Finally, after an hour of tears and pain, she posted a lengthy apology in response to his post. She wanted Billy and everyone to see that she was sorry and wanted him back. Billy had not returned to social media after posting his last note. In her mind, she thought that if he had read her words, he might have reconsidered returning and giving her another chance. That was not going to happen. Sometime later. During that week, Billy decided that he needed to get as far away from here as possible. After quitting his job and speaking with his financial advisors, he made travel arrangements to spend the next 2 months in Hawaii, the same place he was going to take Maggie as a surprise vacation. Billy sent Harley, his best man, the title to his truck and where to pick it up as a thank you for his friendship. He explained he was going to be gone for a long time. He also sent his new email address to stay in touch. Harley did stay in touch with Billy and told him what happened after he left town. Maggie begged him to tell her where Billy was to no avail. When Maggie returned the loaner car, she learned her old car was already sent to auction. The dealership was angry that there would be no sale, and refused to give her any money for the trade, and explaining the monies would go towards the loaner car they supplied. She would have to get an attorney to try and get it back, but without any funds that was going to be difficult. She tried desperately to reach out to Billy, but nobody knew where he was. Her mom and dad were angry at her actions, but offered her to come live with them if she wanted to come down to Arizona. She tried to keep the apartment with the hope that Billy would come to his senses and return. Maggie was now working 2 jobs just to make ends meet. She never realized how expensive it was to pay for everything, because Billy always took care of all the expenses. She finally realized her childish need for getting even was a very big mistake. After a year of not hearing from Billy, she knew he wasn't coming back. She dated several guys but would never again experience the loving relationship she had with Billy. She missed him dearly, and cursed herself for taking advantage of that stupid hall pass. 2 years later, the marriage was over and they were both free again. With his knowledge of cryptocurrencies, along with his financial investments, Billy's account blossomed to a respectable $28 million over the next few years. He was now living in his new Hawaiian beach house on the island of Kauai, with his 21-year-old wife. This was the house he wanted to buy for Maggie before she lost her mind. Kelly, his new love, was in heaven and would never want a hall pass. Just to make sure, he had her sign a prenuptial agreement to protect himself from an unexpected slot raid that might strike in the future. While Maggie struggled to make ends meet and find a good man to love her again, Billy started living a new chapter in life, filled with love and happiness. Some of you may say that Billy should have split his hidden wealth with Maggie, or at least set her up with support. Remember, before this happened, Billy intended to give Maggie everything and not hide their blessings, but things changed. Being generous after her night of ducking some other guy would have been a nice gesture. However, in Billy's mind, her betrayal destroyed every ounce of love he had for her. Nope, in his mind she got what she deserved. A life without his love and lots of regrets, just as Billy had wished her. One day, still living a sad, lonely life and stuck in her small town, Maggie saw an interview on TV with a man she recognized as Billy. Yes, Billy, her ex-husband. She jumped to her feet and stood right in front of the TV screen. CNN was interviewing Billy about his Save the Children Foundation at his large beach home on Kauai, with his wife Kelly and their daughter Abigail. That's when she realized how bad she screwed things up. After the years of not seeing or hearing from Billy, the image of him with his new family hit her hard. When she learned about his success and how he became a philanthropist from all his wealth, she broke down and cried the tears of the insane. Yes, she was a broken woman, all because she wanted to get even. She then remembered a quote from one of favorite authors, John Southard: "The only people who you should get even with are those who have helped you." She will try hard to remember that, if ever given the chance again.